Hello and welcome to Dawn Chorus Writes, a Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction and audiofiction. This is the series The Truth Behind the Lie, and it's written by Sheikah and narrated by Dawn myself. Hello! And this is for Sheikah's Wednesday, so massive shout out to her. All her information is down below, so make sure you go and send her some love. Send me some love by smashing that like button. Comment down below what you think of this part and what will happen in the next one, and make sure you subscribe so you do not miss out on future parts and other series that are happening at the moment and other one shots to come. And I hope you enjoy. Part 12. Everyone at school was raving about the photos. Everyone wanted them both to sign copies and gushed about how great they looked together. Marinette was just swept along in Adrien's wake as he signed autographs and commented on how wonderful his girlfriend was to work with. Wasn't she gorgeous? And how did he ever get so lucky to have someone as wonderful as Marinette to like him back? There's something so much more with these photos than the other ones, Adrien, Rose commented. That's because we care and trust each other. Isn't that right, my sweet? He wrapped his arms around her waist from behind and pulled her against him, planting a kiss on her cheek. It comes across clearly on the camera, doesn't it? I've never had more fun on a photo shoot. I hope Father will keep you on for the rest of the spring campaign, Marinette. It was a lot of fun, she managed through the rosy fog his actions had caused. But you know, I'm more than happy just to watch from the sidelines. I know, he replied, nuzzling her jaw with his nose. But why waste all your beauty to wrap behind the scenes? She was trembling at his blatant affection, but as much as she would have liked him to continue, the courtyard between classes was not the appropriate place or time, even if he had been doing it for real. Summoning up her ladybug courage, she took a step away and grabbed him by the chin. So, I can save you for my prince, she purred, thankfully that Cat Noir wasn't there to hear her mimicking him. She pressed a quick kiss on Adrien's cheek and whispered, Stop with the nuzzling, it tickles. His eyes blew wide and his cheeks flushed. He nodded, his Adam apple bobbing nervously as he swallowed at her forwardness. He didn't make any noise, but his lips formed the word, wow. Marinette couldn't help but smile as her cheeks turned a brighter shade of pink. You two are just so precious together, Rose cooed, her hands clasped together in a romantic delight. Though it is a shame about you and... Adrien! Lila called, appearing like a phantom out of nowhere and just as welcome. She sidled up to him, snaked her arm through his, leaning her head against his shoulder and pressing herself full against him from head to knees. You looked amazing in your new photos. Too bad I wasn't available to work with you this time. I know how much you enjoy our us time, even if it is for an audience, but my charity work does have to come first. Adrien froze at the sudden unwelcome contact, and Lila took that opportunity to walk her fingers up his chest before settling on his opposite shoulder, laying her claim to him by body language as well as words. Poor Adrien's eyes were wide and disturbed, a look of revulsion distorting his handsome face. Marinette couldn't just stand by and watch him suffer like this. She reached out, grabbed Lila's wrist, and gently but firmly removed it from Adrien's shoulder. The liar winced. Marinette may have not been in the suit, but a lifetime of kneading bread dough and piping icing had made her hands strong, and she could exert a lot of force without needing her super strength. While I'm sure you think you might have done a better job, Lila, I think the photos speak for themselves, she said softly, applying more pressure to the underside of the girl's wrist. Adrien and I have a bond that you'll never understand. So I say this in the nicest way possible. Get your hands off my boyfriend. Lila stared at her own hand, which trembled before going limp, and then Marinette's face. Her eyes were burning a murky green. She tried one last time. "My Adrien likes it, don't you, my love?" At that last point, Adrien's paralysis and composure broke at the same time. He gagged as he brushed her away from him as quickly as he could. "No, Lila, I don't. I have tried to be patient, and I have tried to be a gentleman. But if you continue to invade my personal space like this, then I will have to file a restraining order. I have never given you permission to touch me like that, and I'm angry that you would think this is acceptable to do so, especially in front of my girlfriend. I wanted to work with Marinette at the photo shoot, where I have never wanted to work with you. So you need to learn the difference between fantasy and reality." He reached for Marinette's hand, and she released Lila's to take it. He was shaking, and she squeezed his fingers in sympathy and comfort. They could hear Lila breathing deeply, and Rose trying to comfort her as they walked away. But what surprised Marinette was more Alex, standing at the door to the locker room. She was close enough to have heard the whole thing, and she had a serious expression on her face that Marinette had only ever seen her older self as Bunnix. The girl met her eyes, glanced at Lila, and then back to her. She nodded once and gave a thumbs up before disappearing back into the locker room. As good as it felt to tell Lila, the reprieve didn't last long. The liar cornered her in the bathroom after classes, positively radiating menace. "You might have won, Marinette," she said, her voice soft and deadly. "You haven't just refused to believe me now. You have turned Adrien against me in public, and that will never do." "Lila," Marinette growled, her hands clenched to her fists by her side. "If you—" "I'll make it easy for you," Lila interrupted, tossing her hair and striding forward confidently, forcing Marinette to keep backing up until she hit the wall. "Dump Adrien publicly. Break his golden heart. Be vicious. Be cruel. Otherwise—" She examined the nails on one hand before slamming it hard against the wall next to her head, causing Marinette to flinch. "This gets personal." "This has already been personal. You're trying to ruin my life." Lila clicked her tongue in disappointment. Marinette, I expected better of you. I haven't even targeted you directly so far, but I will if you don't do as I say. You don't even know what misery is yet. You will be thrown out of school, humiliated, disgraced. You will be the one attracting Kumas and even being their goody two-shoes everyday Ladybug won't save you forever. Marinette took a deep breath, struggling to douse the rage and fear she felt thrashing in her insides. She wasn't alone, she reminded herself. She had Cat Noir, Tiki, Luca, Kagami, and Adrien. Adrien who wanted her, Adrien who loved her hugs, Adrien who hid so much loneliness behind his model mask. This was as much for him as it was for her. She couldn't back down now. She looked at her tormentor squarely in the eye. "No," Marinette said flatly. "Do your worst, Lila." Those green eyes narrowed, and hate burning in the depths. "You're going to regret messing with me, Marinette." "Not likely, Lila," came a taunting voice from the doorway. Both girls turned to see Alex leaning casually in the open doorway. Contemptuously, she blew a bubble with her gum and popped it with a loud snap. "Oh, Alex! Thank goodness!" Lila gushed, pausing out a few crocodile tears. "Adrien asked Marinette to be his fake girlfriend to cover up our secret relationship, but she's managed to turn him against me somehow. You have to help me." Alex nodded diversely. "Stuff it, sausage hair. I heard enough to know which way the wind blows. Now get lost." Lila stormed off, grinding her teeth. Marinette let out a sigh of relief. Oh, thanks, Alex, but I thought you didn't believe me. The girl shrugged, looking uncomfortable. I didn't. Not entirely. Not until today, anyway. How long has she been doing this, Marinette? Long enough? It doesn't matter. I'm just so glad that you were here. She wrapped her friends in her arms despite the helmet and pads. No problem, Em. I'm here now, okay? Sorry for not listening before. She hugged her back as fiercely as she did everything. Oh, Adrien sent me to check on you. He was worried. Well, probably about that. She waved her hand in the direction Lila had gone, as if swatting an annoyed insect. Marinette wiped away a few tears of gratitude that one of her friends believed her for once. She hadn't let herself think about how hurt and isolated it had left her. Thanks, Alex. But you know, she is likely to target you now too. Pfft, let her try. I don't have any secrets she can exploit. She's got nothing on me, and if she tries anything, I'll pummel her, she exclaimed, punching one hand into the other with a smug grin. Anyway, you better be going. Adrien is waiting for you. She nudged her with an elbow. Marinette blushed and couldn't help the goofy grin that spread across her face. Thanks, Alex. A friend waved her off before crossing her arms confidently. Can't keep your man waiting. Adrien was waiting in the locker room for Marinette, ready for fencing class, when he saw Lila coming storming out of the girls' bathroom. He pulled his fencing mask down over his face so that she wouldn't recognize him. After the way she had crawled all over him earlier, he was in no mood to deal with her. Plus, he knew Marinette was in there, cleaning up after her art class, and he was worried that Lila had cornered her again. But when he saw Marinette coming out with Alex behind her, both smiling, he let out a breath he didn't even know he had been holding. He raised his mask again. Everything okay, Marinette? He asked, pulling her into a hug despite the stiffness of his fencing jacket. I saw Lila go in after you. I got worried. She's fine, golden boy, Alex replied with a smirk. Your girlfriend is tougher than she looks. Don't I know it? He said, grinning as Marinette blushed. What did you do to Lila's wrist earlier that made her let go? I never asked. She shrugged and tucked her head down. I cut off the circulation to her hand. It made it go numb. It didn't actually hurt her, just gave her pins and needles when I let go. Alex nodded smugly and held up a fist. Marinette tapped it with hers. Well, I'm not one for mushy stuff. So long, lovebirds. I told Kim I would thrash him in a race today. See ya! Are you really okay, Marinette? He asked softly as Alex left. Yeah. Just now, Lila says it's personal. Ugh. As if it wasn't personal to us already, he grumbled, then sighed, letting her go to rub the back of his neck in embarrassment. I never said sorry earlier about the nuzzling thing. I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. Her cheeks blossomed in bright pink. No, not at all. It's just tickled a little. It might have been too personal for public. I mean, she lowered her voice to a near whisper as her cheeks darkened. I kind of liked it. Adrien blushed hotly at her words. Really? Marinette gave him a shy smile and a little shrug. He had to fight a strong impulse to grab and kiss her. Oh, especially when she was biting her lip like that. She was his girlfriend. He had every right to kiss her, didn't he? Even if... Wait. Why was he fighting himself so much again? One hand crept around her waist while the other caressed her cheek, hating that his fencing gloves kept him from feeling the softness of her skin. He smiled at her. Marinette, he whispered, leaning in. Agrest! Fall in! The master is waiting! Someone cried from the doorway and they jumped apart. What was he doing? She loves her buttercup. She's only playing my girlfriend to trick Lila. I can't just kiss her like this. It would be taking advantage of her. I have to go. Fencing practice, he mumbled, everything from the neck up blushing so hard it hurt. Yeah, okay. Her voice was soft and breathless, making it twice as hard to step away. Shake it off, Agrest, he berated himself. Marinette, she isn't mine. The thought made that well of loneliness inside of him grow chasm deep, as every particle of his being screamed that he was lying to himself, lying to her. Fencing. That's right. He had fencing practice, and he knew Kagami. She would give him such a workout that he would forget about this second almost kiss. It should have worked too. He was so frustrated with himself that he had a lot more energy to expel than usual. Kagami kept up with him blow for blow as she drove her relentless across the courtyard. He finally backed her into a corner, disarming her with a savage flick of the wrist and sending her saber flying. Point and about to Adrien, Master Darrencourt decreed. Panting heavily, Adrien reached out to help Kagami up. Retrieving her weapon, she saluted him smartly before taking her helmet off. I have never seen you in such form. Are you inspired or frustrated? A bit of both, he grumbled, removing his as well and glanced over at the bleachers. Marinette had managed to find some pom-poms in green and gold and was waving them cheerfully, the metallic ribbons glittering in the sunlight. She had remembered a chance comment and found some of these silly things and was cheering him on, completely oblivious to his internal debate. I remember everything about you, she had said in that barely a whisper that day when they had planned their fake relationship and probably thought he hadn't heard it, but he had. Now those softly spoken words blended in his mind with how beautiful she looked, surrounded by swaying cherry blossoms that matched her cheeks. How she felt in his arms and the thrill that coursed through him when she stared down Lila, demanding that Lila let her boyfriend, him, go. Adrien? What? He started at the sound of his name and struggled to pull himself back into focus. Oh, sorry, Kagami. I kinda got lost there for a moment. Was it in contemplation of a certain pair of blue eyes? She asked with a smirk. Adrien growled in frustration. It's not fair, Kagami. Am I just doomed to be alone? Why do I always mess things up with the girls I like? Because you are a blind idiot who fails to notice what's right in front of you, she said bluntly. Then she sighed and gripped his shoulder in sympathy. I'm sorry. You're not an idiot. Foolish, perhaps, and desperate for affection, but not an idiot. But you are blind, Adrien. How am I blind, Kagami? How? Because it took fake dating Marinette for you to see what she really means to you. His mouth fell open and glanced from his friend to the vision with pom-pom in the bleachers. How did... Everyone knows you know, Adrien. We've known for ages, everyone except her. I've known since the first day we met. But we... and you... For the first time, Adrien saw Kagami roll her eyes. Marinette is hesitant and soft. I thought I could win you by strength and skill, only for me to find that there really was no competition after all. She smiled softly over at Marinette as she tentatively made her way down the bleachers towards him. She may be hesitant, but it's with a healer's touch, and her softness comes from the kindest of hearts I have ever known. She is my best friend. She has my complete loyalty, even if I do not understand her sometimes. She gave him a stern look. And if you break her heart, Agrest, I will flay you within an inch of your life. Kagami was in earnest, and he hurriedly waved the possibility away. She doesn't feel that way about me, Kagami. Honest. She likes someone else, but I'm not even supposed to know. That's why this is so hopeless. His friend closed her eyes and took a calming breath. I take it back, she muttered as Marinette approached. You are an idiot. Wow, guys, that was amazing! Thanks, Marinette. He wrapped her in a hug, hoping that she hadn't heard what Kagami had said. Yes, Adrien was most energetic today, Kagami replied, looking smugly once more. One could almost say he seemed inspired. He coughed in sudden surprise, and Marinette looked concerned and patted his back with a handful of metallic ribbons. What are those? Asked Kagami. Pom-poms. Both he and Marinette answered at once before grinning at each other. Kagami rolled her eyes again. I have some news. Mother's friends found some background information on Rossi's family. I thought it would be useful. It's in my gym bag. Also, Luca and I went to her apartment several times, but either no one was home or Lila intercepted us. I can see why you dislike her. She lies so easily that she must speak with a forked tongue. Adrien nodded, wondering if he could safely pull Marinette back against his shoulder without it looking weird. I need to get changed, but I will give my findings to Adrien before I leave. Can we get together in the next few days, Marinette? We should discuss what our next moves should be. Definitely, and thank you, Kagami. I'm so glad you're here for us, Marinette said, wrapping the girl in a hug. Always, Kagami replied fiercely, a tone holding the finality of an oath. She patted Marinette on the back awkwardly and then headed for the changing rooms. So, are you ready for your surprise? Marinette asked, her eyes wide with excitement and anxiety. I'm ready for anything as long as I'm with you. She blushed furiously, and he realized that had come out a bit more sappy than he had intended. Or did it? The surprise was a birthday party? Marinette, it's not my birthday, Adrien said, waving his hands around at the balloons and a cake and a banner strung across her living room that read, Happy Birthday, Adrien. I know, but you said that you wanted the little things, so that is my surprise. She shrank in on herself. You said that you wanted to eat pizza and go swimming with friends and have a real birthday party and a sleepover at Nino's and be loved, and, well, the pool is closed for cleaning this week and things are kind of stressed with Nino and Alya right now and you'll have to wait for that sleepover and I can't do anything about the other girl. She winced slightly and her shoulders tensed before she managed to shake it off with a kind smile. But I arranged everything else. We can make our own pizzas. You have a special cake and there are presents. He stared at her in awe. Marinette did more than just see him. She looked inside of him. She could see his heart in all its tangled mess and didn't think he was broken or weak. She shared the load. He had set out to take care of her and to protect her, his dearest friend, and instead she was caring and protecting him with everything she had. With friendship and tears, telling him off and pulling him in, with macaroons and her magical hugs. She gave it all. To him. To Adrien, her friend. Not the model, not the name, not the mask, but to him. He swallowed hard as tears welled up in his eyes. Kagami was right. He had been a blind fool for too long, chasing Ladybug, refusing to give up on unrequited love in the hopes of her magical making his world right again, when Marinette had already been doing it in such small, gentle ways that he hadn't seen them. Not until it was too late. Not until she loved someone else. Adrien, are you okay? She asked, worried darkening her lovely eyes. Is it too much? Oh, I didn't mean to upset you. I just wanted to... He didn't let her finish as he pulled her into a tight embrace. He held her as he was about to lose her. Why did it feel like he had found her and lost her at the same time? I don't deserve this. Any of it, he whispered, clutching her head to his shoulder. Not when he hadn't seen her true value to him, even when she had confessed her feelings to Cat, and he had thrilled at the very thought, but he had given up everything to pursue a dream, an illusion as false as the lies Lila was weaving around them. "Of course you do," she said fiercely, pulling him back to look him in the eyes. "You deserve everything good and wonderful in this world, Adrien, and I will help you get it as much and as long as I can. I promise. Now, come on and blow out your candles." She lit the candles on the small cake, smiling at him all the while. For this moment in time, there was no shadow flickering in the depths of her eyes. "Make a wish." He closed his eyes and wished. Adrien wished Marinette was in love with him. Thank you for listening to part 12 of The Truth Behind the Lies. Oh, finally, the boy isn't blind. Make sure you send Shika some love for writing it. Make sure you send me some love by smashing that like button. Comment down below. And if you don't know what to say, go, "No more blind boy." And make sure you subscribe. And I hope you're good. And I will speak to you soon. Bye.